People will join. I will get the chat up in a second. And hello, this is Michael Kormaroff in the bottom of my screen. He's over there. Hello. From
Hello,
Brooklyn,
Drew.
New York. Regular Wednesday night on the Thomas Metal 75 Masters Beer Reviews channel of YouTube show. This is Massachusetts Beer Reviews and Company. We got stifled by the Nacho Dave. You know Nacho Dave. He's a little under the weather. He just got back from vacation. So this whole idea of us all bringing an IPA, people still can. This is going to be Wild Card Wednesday. Screw it. Bring a beer. Let's have a discussion. Let's keep it Wednesday, man. Why not? Impending storm is coming to southeastern Massachusetts and Boston and central Massachusetts, even down into Brooklyn. So hello, everybody. Thank you for stopping by. What are you sharing with us this evening for beer, Michael Corman?
Okay, I have from Avery Brewing in Boulder, Colorado, Ellie's Brown Ale, named after their dog, Ellie. It's, I think, a brown lab. It's on the side of the label if you can see him. And brown ale is an interesting style because it's not as heavy as the stouts or the heavier porters, but it does usually have a lot of the same characteristics with the nuttiness and general, dark type things, which are good for this season.
Excellent. My beer, it's not a whole bunch of information out on the internet right now for it. You can buy it in 12-ounce cans. I have it in these, I guess it's a 16 American pint fluid ounce can. It is a New England style ale, so I'm keeping, I guess, with the theme and what you guys know I like. Yeah, it's 1-point ale, 6% alcohol by volume. It's from the Big Elm Brewing Company, which is in Sheffield, Massachusetts, in western Massachusetts, known as the Berkshires. It is called Thunder Lips. Thunder Lips is, I am on BigElmBeer.com. Thunder Lips is New England style pale ale brewed with tons of Amarillo hops, in addition to Rakau, R-A-K-A-U, hops straight from 4 farms in Northfield, Massachusetts.
Ragau and Amarillo.
Yes. Never heard of Ragau.
And you said 6%.
6% pale ale. I forget. This might have been canned in. I forget. It said it on the top of the 4-pack in a little sticker. It didn't. I think it was. Maybe it was September. Ooh.
I got some smoke out of my bottle. I think that's fairly common in all your dark.
Without some light. Without a lot of light, this is actually extremely dark for what it is. For it being,
I would have thought it would be more. I thought it would be lighter orange based on what I've seen.
I don't know if I can even. There's some kind of light. I can't even tell. Yeah, you can't. Yeah, it must be lots of haze. It's kind of a. I don't know. I wouldn't rate it very highly so far in its looks. It kind of looks ugly. Yeah, there's a lot of crap.
What would you call the color? It's kind of like a hazy
sewage.
It's a weird color.
Sewer water. It looks kind of murky brown. That doesn't even look like a pale ale. It kind of smells like a pale ale. It's kind of. It is just weird. I don't know. Maybe I got a cold or something. This nostril works. This one really doesn't.
What does it smell like?
Oh crap! No. It kind of smells like an indiscernible, like tropical citrusy notes, maybe.
Okay.
Maybe there's like pineapple. Maybe that's the big note. Pineapple and some orangey notes. I guess I can kind of get maybe like a white wheat malt presence. Maybe like a little bit of like a bubble gummy thing that you can get from yeast components.
Okay.
I thought it's just murky brown. That's just like it just doesn't look attractive. Maybe it tastes attractive. I don't know if you can even see what I'm seeing. Those might be bubbles. I kind of saw a lot of carbonation streaming out, and then it kind of died. This could be just sitting around just a tiny bit too long. But so far, that's what I'm getting. How is the look in the
I'll give you my visual on mine. Nice head, nice beige head, and I guess you'd call this kind of like a light brown. It's not dark. You can see through it. It's got kind of like a reddish kind of hue through it, so you can see it. It's not one of these opaque beers, but pretty good looking. What you'd expect a brown ale to look like, I guess.
Sure.
And I like the head too. And let me get the nose on it. You get the heavy malts is the first thing you smell.
Okay.
They're very malty, but I think that's another characteristic of brown ales. Let's see what else we're going to get. A little bit nutty.
Oh, we got Jordan joining live. Hello, Jordan.
Good day.
Hi,
Can you hear
Jordan.
me? Can you hear me, sirs?
We can hear you. We don't
We
see you,
can't
though.
see you yet.
Awesome. I'll try to get this setting to work.
Okay.
But, yeah, I've been having lots of trouble with my video and shit lately, sadly.
It's
But
all
yeah,
right.
what are you boys drinking?
I'm going to be enjoying a sludgy-looking beer. Yeah, this is surprisingly an American or New England style pale ale. Go figure that. It's
Hot
called
gravy.
Thunder Lips, and it looks like something out of a Hulk Hogan wrestling match.
And Jordan, I have an Avery Ellie's Brown Ale, which is a American brown ale.
Oh, cool, cool. Have you tried any of Avery's big beers at all?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I think I've tried most of them.
Oh, yeah?
Uncle Jacob something and a peanut one, but all very high alcohol ones.
Yeah, I really enjoy them.
They're hard to find though, and when you do find them, they're really expensive.
Oh, way too expensive.
Yeah. $15 for a little bottle of
12-ounce bottle, $15.99, stuff like that.
yeah, whatever.
Yeah, I've seen them everywhere between like $15 and $25 for aged stuff.
I'm gonna try this sludgy beer.
All right,
Cheers.
hit it, Eric. I got
It
you.
looks
I'm
like
writing-
I'm calling it sewer water looking.
Okay. What's it taste like?
Not New England style pale ale. What the fuck? Yeah, this is not gross, but I might have to dump this. This is not good. Oh man, this sucks. All right, so I think I don't know, Jordan. You brew beer. Is this a New England style pale ale? What happened with this one? It tastes very muted.
It's probably oxidized.
Right.
When a New England IPA pale ale becomes oxidized, it'll often mute the flavors and just keep the bitterness.
There's a little bit of I mentioned it. I'm gonna have to get another beer. This sucks. There's a little bit of like the bubble gummy, maybe that's like a yeasty component to it still.
All right.
Is there anything, Eric, that's off-putting in the taste, you think?
Maybe what Jordan was saying is kind of correct. I think that there's some amount of bitterness that just doesn't seem right at this point in time. And there's like the yeast or whatever it is almost like, I don't know if it's the yeast, but I'm almost getting this souring component to it as it finishes, which to me is not, it's that soured milk almost kind of a finish to it doesn't seem right to me.
That's no good.
No, this is a low D minus. It's not the, I don't know. I might even drink Steel Reserve over the way that this can tastes. 211, 8.1%. This is pretty gnarly. I might have to get a whole new beer and restart the night correctly. My night's going terribly, so I apologize for everybody, but we'll keep it together.
How much were you paying for that then?
I don't even. This might have been a $13 4-pack of these things.
Ah, shit.
Yeah. Oh, well, it says consume now. Obviously, they didn't want me to consume it later. And again, I believe, not that I really, really, really prescribe to the idea that you got to drink it, that only IPAs taste good fresh. I mean, if you hop the shit out of something, it's going to taste pretty fresh. But this, I think, was canned in September, so that could have been the reasoning why. Although, if those are the flavors I'm getting and that's the look of a pale ale, then that's not what this is supposed to be, I don't think. I don't think this is what they intended this thing to taste like.
Yeah, oxidization can often make the appearance kind of dull and almost gray.
Yeah, this is pretty gray. Yeah, I would agree with that gray sensation look to it. Yep, I'm gonna have to drain pour that. Oh well. What do you have anything you're drinking on the other side of the camera there, Jordan?
Yes, I'm drinking a beer from Blood Brothers Brewing in Toronto, Ontario.
That sounds good.
How do you spell Lud?
It's Milk of the Poppy, a New England style IPA brewed with strawberries.
Blood Brothers, BLOOD, right?
Lud, okay.
Yeah.
Michael Kormaroff, if anybody didn't know, he takes notes and puts down people's ratings on all these beers so he can have a journal of memories, so to speak.
So it's Milk of the what?
Milk of the Poppy.
I'm going to get another beer. I'm disappointed. I'll be right back, gentlemen.
Okay. And what did you say was the additive? Strawberry?
Fresh pressed strawberries and Motueka and Mosaic hops.
Sounds interesting.
It's pretty tasty. Really nice sweet and tart strawberry flavors to it. Super hazy. It almost looks like Eric's, but the addition of strawberries will give it kind of a red vibe, you know?
Yep. So do you have cold weather there too?
Oh, well, lately it's not been too horrendous, but over Christmas it was getting to minus 40.
We have in New York City and this whole part of the country, we have 9 straight days where it's been below 32 Fahrenheit, which is unusually cold for us, probably 10 degrees below normal.
Yeah, yeah.
And the wind chills have been really off the wall, and we're supposed to get snow overnight into tomorrow. So,
see, I'd like to say we get used to it up here, but really can't.
well, you get extreme cold weather most winter. So, I mean,
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so I have this Avery Ellie's Brown Ale, which compared to those other things you were discussing, it's 5.5% alcohol. It's a brown ale. It's, muted in the style compared to those heavy duty things. But Avery does brew beer very well. So this should be very good.
I had their White Rascal wit beer with some tacos, I believe, in San Diego. Really enjoyed it.
They're kind of an interesting brewery because they do have the ones you were talking about, which are their small batch series that they charge so much money for. And then they have a whole bunch of these regular beers that they sell as their regular thing, which are, moderately priced. It's not super expensive.
Yeah, it's supply and demand, right? I mean, people are paying it, so might as well sell it for that.
I have a close friend who loves that style of beer, and he's always turning me on to it. And I say to him, but I guess his theory is the same as what you're saying. If it's something that's special, you have to pay the price for it.
Yeah. I mean, I would love if it was half the price.
I understand. This brown ale, to give you a description, is not going to knock your socks off, but in terms of the style, it's doing everything that you expect. It's very nutty. It's
all right, I'm back.
Malty. It's very enjoyable. It's 5.5% on the Avery.
Excuse me.
But even in a simple brown ale, you can have extreme complexities to the beer if it's brewed well.
Well, I guess it's complex in that the different components are put together well.
Yeah, exactly.
So it is a complex beer, but I guess what I'm trying to say, it doesn't give you the same kind of interest level as an Imperial Stout or as maybe one of those other more complex beers that they make?
Yeah, exactly. But
The carbonation on this is very interesting too, because, and I guess this could be typical of brown ales also, it doesn't dominate, and yet it really does a good job of keeping the drinkability very nice.
yeah, for sure.
I am going to try a whole new beer and see if this is better. I actually tried this. I had a couple.
I'm listing the first beer, Eric, as an abort, but I wrote it up, so it's here anyway.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm gonna try one more can of that at some other point. I got 3 other cans, and if the next one is bad, I'm gonna try to write to the company and let them know what I thought of that. So the next beer I have, they don't really have information on their website or anything like that, unfortunately. And Beer Advocate has a little bit of information because it's not the biggest of breweries. Like I said, I went there on Thursday. We got 2 days off. The company I work at gave us 2 extra days off before the end of the year. So one of those days, last Thursday, I went to a couple of breweries, and one of them was in Portsmouth, Rhode Island, called Ragged Mountain Brewing Company. Very small nano brewery, but they do like 6 or 7 different beers, and they canned this one on the 27th of December. This is their Beach Night IPA. It's a 16-ounce can, and it's a 6.5% alcohol by volume beer. And there's some crazy-looking, I don't know, Rob Zombie horror 50s film-looking girl, I guess. This one should be much better because I did try it at the brewery, and obviously it looks.
And you know it's fresher because you just bought it.
Yeah. Oh, well, that was an abortion, as you said. No, I mean, you didn't say that. An abortion, right. Anyways, does that look like more like a pale ale?
Yes, it does.
Ale, for God's sakes. That was a great pour. Yeah,
Nevada, something like that.
Kind of, yeah, almost like a little bit of a hazy kind of a Pilsner almost, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
A lot of carbonation in that white head is gorgeous. Yeah, this one has a lot more interesting things going on, but it's not the biggest in your face kind of a smell to it. I am getting more of a florally note. There is some of the tropical citrus in there. There's a little bit of a pine resin. Not much to it, though. There is some light hop oils. I'm definitely getting a biscuity, bready kind of a malt in the background. So me saying Pilsner, I don't know if they're using any kind of Pilsner malt in here or two-row barley malt, but, you know, they could. So Beach Night. I mean, Portsmouth, Rhode Island is right on the border of Somerset, Mass, New Bedford, Fall River. So they're right on the Narragansett, Bay in Atlantic Ocean. Cheers, everybody. And they're one of those breweries that will fill almost any kind of a vessel for growlers that you have. So my new Stanley 64-ounce growler will work just fine. And yeah, I thought this when I tried the beer initially. It almost has I don't want to say it's like a Goza, but it does have this beach salt kind of a component about it. Pretty upfront, pungent, and bitter. It really hits you with a punch of sweet, florally, a little bit of that resinous pine, and a little bit of the tropical grapefruits and pineapples and mangoes, I guess. There is some bready malt, but the star of the show is the upfront bitterness. It's got to be between, I would guess it's in the 70s, but they don't really list anywhere on their website. This is pretty crisp. It's moderate. It's soft, but it does have some crispness to it. It's actually very dry. You drink the beer, and then you almost forget about what you just had, so you got to take another sip to kind of get that back in your mind. And the refreshment level kind of is there. I could probably put this down without much effort. It's I would say it's straight up medium body. It's just I could put it down without effort, but I think under the right circumstances, it might be a little bit of a chore. I think it is just slightly a little bit more hefty than I like, but this was the 4-pack that I bought. So at the immediate moment in time, I'm going to give it a 1.5 thumbs right now. I will think about that rating as we go along. So what are your thoughts in general, I guess, here of brown ales, if you have any history, or maybe why do you think, so what's your history of brown ales, and why do you think that a lot of breweries just don't make brown ales?
They just seem to not be that common among breweries. I've had other brown ales before. I wouldn't say it's something I've had a lot of, but I've had some. And it just doesn't seem to be, every brewery doesn't have one, where every brewery seems to have a stout. But the ones I've had have been pretty good. This one happens to be a good one.
I really like brown ales, especially sour browns. But I find it's a good style to put adjuncts in, because it's a lot lighter of a malt profile that adjuncts and stuff like that really shine, like coconut, like maple, stuff like that.
Sure.
Yeah. But
why do you think that a lot of breweries just don't, even in Canada, just don't make a brown ale?
Actually, in Canada, we get quite a lot of brown ales. Like most breweries put one out, or at least in my area. But it's also not quite as developed of a craft beer scene up here.
Right.
But there's some really good ones. I've had some that are just really damn good that I would drink over most imperial stouts. But like each style has its greats and its disappointments and stuff like that. So.
I got a question as I'm drinking this beer of mine, and I thought about that even when I tried it initially at the Ragged Island Brewing Company tap house, or the brewery, which is a very, very small operation, but they do pretty good. I'm getting initially what I'm describing to you as almost like a salty, beach night. It's almost like got a salty component to it, but I'm noticing that there's a very sharp, assertive bitterness right immediately behind that. I'm wondering, as a brewer that you are and that you've dabbled into that, Jordan, could that potentially be because I'm getting such an assertive hop bitterness right at the same time? Could I be getting a certain kind of a hop that's giving me that sharp, assertive bitterness, almost a salty component?
I don't know. It all depends how you use the hops, I guess. Could you go into more detail at all?
I mean, I'm getting a little bit of this bubblegummy thing, which again could be the yeast, but
yeah, that's definitely the yeast.
I'm also getting this really sharp, dry pininess in the back. Really, really sharp, bitter, dry, piney. It starts with like a grapefruit citrus, and then it immediately, like within a second or two, dries in the back of the throat to this piney kind of a bitterness.
I would say maybe from maybe a slightly too much bitter hopping.
Yeah.
And I really don't know without tasting it, but
yeah.
Probably too much in the beginning of the boil and stuff like that. But
potentially, but it's night and day. It's night and day better than what that first beer was. That was just an atrocity of mankind.
It might also be because it's is it pretty fresh?
Yeah, this one was canned on the 27th of December.
Oh, so pretty fucking fresh then.
Yeah.
It'll probably have a little bit more of a astringency, hop astringency to it, but I personally really enjoy that in pale ales and stuff.
Yeah, this one is very. Basically, what I'm saying is that there are, in my taste buds, there is a nice, almost like a Pilsner bready kind of a malt in the background, that maybe like a 2-row barley or something like that. And then you're primarily getting a bitter blast throughout the entire sip of the beer. So if you're more of, if you ever see this beer, congratulations. If you're more of a person that likes upfront bitter and doesn't just want to effing joke around with where's the bitterness, does it taste like juice, then Beach Night IPA might be the one for you to try. I guess it's like if they called it Palate Wrecker, it probably wouldn't be such a bad name to call it, but we all know who makes that beer, right?
Is this Ragged Mountain, Eric, known for being mainly an IPA brewer, or do they have a full line of things?
They got a full line of everything, to be completely honest. I think and I was talking to my father when we went to that brewery and we were sitting down and we did four, what do you call it? A tasting.
Flight.
Yeah, flight. That's it. So we did four 5-ounce taster glasses, and I mean every place they have like 4, maybe 5, maybe 4 between IPAs, pale ales, and imperial IPAs. They have about 3 or 4 different ones, and I think at this point in time, especially if you're in New England and you're a smaller brewery too, that you just kind of have to ride that wave a little bit and get into the IPAs and stuff. One of the best beers that they had, and I honestly don't recall, Nitro Porter that they had, which is kind of interesting because a Nitro Porter, nitrogen beers are just harder beers to maintain already. So to have that thing done that way and to have it done at a local brewery and for it tasting practically like a Guinness, but even more roasty, that was a really great, it was a really good beer. So that was pretty good. I think it was 6.5%. It was called the Baldwin Porter.
Sounds good.
That was pretty good.
Jordan, do you get any of the New England style IPAs in Alberta?
Yep. Is my
No, you sound good.
All right. We get a few of them. Some breweries do them, but it's a new style. Yeah.
Now we're getting a little bit of an echo.
Okay, that's what I thought. Let's see what's going on here.
Okay. Excellent. So yeah, I'd have to really look. They're a pretty brand spanking new brewery, this Ragged Mountain. So for what they're doing, I think it's a pretty good operation. The only problem that I have with a lot of these, if you call them microbreweries or nano breweries that are even smaller than what we typically would think of as a microbrewery, they have limited hours and days throughout the week that they're open. So they're not like so it would almost seem to me as though a lot of these micro nano breweries haven't really gotten to the point where they can just have this as their full-time career or job quite yet.
Yeah,
they don't have that kind of distribution either.
We have that here also, where some of the earlier ones would be Thursday night, Friday night, night.
I think those are probably the best nights to be open for a brewery is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and they have Sundays from 1 to 6 p.m.
Maybe they're brewing on Tuesday and Wednesday.
Yeah, potentially. But it's nice to see a lot of these. There's probably a dozen plus in my local area that I could probably drive to 5, 6, 7, 8 of them in my local area. Maybe that's just a testament to craft beer where it is now. I don't think it's dying anytime soon. And that could be also a testament to me living in New England and Massachusetts where beer is just kind of taken off.
Yeah, Brooklyn has gotten to the point now we have a lot of action too, and I'm kind of excited also.
Yep. So how's the brown ale as it warms up slightly?
I like it. My rating, I rated it a B plus.
88. An 88. Nice. I'm trying to think about a rating here. I don't know. They probably did, so I apologize if I say this incorrectly to Ragged Mountain Brewing Beach Night IPA, but it would seem to me like I don't know that they were purposely trying to make it this assertively bitter in the beginning of the beer. For me personally, I mean, this is a pretty good beer. I mean, you have to like upfront just like a smack of hops in your face kind of a bitter beer. To be completely honest, it's not very, I mean, there is an underlining sweet, bready, white bready kind of Pilsnery malt kind of a component to it, but it's overshadowed by this wave of hops that are almost bitter to the point where it's kind of salty. I know that's just kind of a strange thing, but maybe if you've had like a Goza or something and you've had like a saltiness to a beer before, that might ring a bell if anybody's had Goza before.
So it's an interesting idea in that way.
Yeah, interesting. Sure. They had they had 4-packs of any of the beers that they had in 4-packs for $18. I bought the 4-pack. I wanted to kind of support a local brewery here. I would probably honestly choose a little bit different of a beer if I had to choose all over again. But even in saying that, I still think $18 is a little too high for what you're getting. But I understand that probably brewing of all of these IPAs and some of these New England style beers are the ingredients can be a little costly. I get it. So therefore, you're going to be paying a little bit extra in the beer's price. But what do you get for if you go to a brewery, Michael Komaroff? What do you get for beer? What do you normally see for 4-packs or growler prices?
What we were talking about before, the one that's the closest to my house, the other half, you got to wait on these lines to get it, and it's at least $18 for a 4-pack. That's the same kind of range.
Yeah.
But they're these more New England style, piney kind of like Pliny, like Heady Topper, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's expensive, but what you pay for, I guess.
Do you think that these companies are drawing away potential customers or potential fans of their beers by pricing it so high, or do you think that there's a little bit of a give and take as far as paying that price for a beer?
I think the people here really pay the price because these lines, even when it's like in the teens and it's cold, they pull away on the line, and they do a lot of trading of the other half beers for your tree houses and your trilliums. So people who go up there to get that beer and they trade with the other half. So people are buying it.
But it is leaving a fairly nice lacing, and it is a fairly nice looking beer in the glass. It certainly doesn't have what Jordan was calling as a there goes Jordan. Certainly wasn't as Jordan was calling this beer here. This certainly isn't an oxidized mess of a beer. So I don't know what have you ever had a beer that's done that to you where you've just where it just didn't, where obviously you knew that something wasn't right about the beer?
I have, but the way you're describing it, it's really not off-putting. I think they are actually trying to get that kind of feel. Maybe it's a little bit too heavy in the IBUs on your first taste kind of thing.
I'm talking about that very first beer that I had this evening.
No, that could just be like maybe it was oxidized or old. Is how you have to look at it.
I'm thinking like if I get one more, because I have 3 more cans of that stuff. So if I get one more can and I open that can and it's the same mess, I might just have to figure out how to mention something to the brewery and say, look, bought this at a brand new store that just opened up and brand new beer selection. This is what came out of the shelves. What gives?
Maybe they'll make good on it. Maybe they'll send you 4-pack.
That would be nice. Yeah, our buddy, I don't know if you remember, I don't know if John Walker's watching. Hello, John Walker. He is currently sending me a couple of bottles of, I think it's called Hardywood. There's a Merry Christmas stout and there's a gingerbread stout he wants me to review. So, maybe if that comes in time for, if that comes next week, maybe I can use one of those for a porter and stout review.
We're still getting the echo. Is it coming from me?
Probably.
Let's see what I can do. Try the headphones. Yeah. Is that better?
Hello. Yes. Yep. That is much.
We're getting some stuff here. Are you reading it in the corner?
Reading our chat. I don't have anything in the chat.
Let's see. Somebody said I'm going to read.
Oh, that was Jordan.
That was Jordan before. Jordan hasn't come. Jordan's back.
That wasn't any of our 2 viewers watching live. I know this is such a great review. We got lots to say. I apologize. We got a little stifled, but we'll make it up next week. We promise to do that. It was a little convoluted beer chat, but I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe doing I haven't really thought about it too heavily. I'm thinking about maybe doing a top 10 beers that I reviewed in 2017. I don't know. What was a standout beer for you in 2017 there, Michael Kormarov?
I'm trying to think. I really like all those 6 point barrel aged. All three of them. They were really good. But the best beers I had, maybe in the top of the group.
Excellent. Yeah, I think I have a list that I saved on my tablet. Let me see. Now, I've had a couple of more beers since that time, so this list very well might change, but at the time of me, let me see if I can find this list. At the time of me putting this list together, which was, I don't even think I saved it. Great. Very good going me. All right, so at the time I put this list together, which was, if it loads, it was on a Beer Advocate forum. The Beer Advocate forum was favorite beer of 2017. And somebody posted that all the way in December 3rd, like you're still done drinking beer in 2017, right? Which I always found amazing that people will do these on YouTube. They'll do their greatest beers list or worst beers list, and it's like the second week of December. You still got 2 more weeks to drink beer. Come on. You could get the best beer you ever had in 2 weeks. You really could. But I thought I was prepared for this, and I am not. All the Trillium beers were pretty good. We did a barrel-aged review in which I reviewed this beer from the Black Hog Brewing Company. It was a barrel-aged Ode Braun that was probably the best beer I had all year. I gave it a 9. I remember giving that a 95 on the list. That was really, really delicious. I didn't actually do my own personal review of it. I just reviewed it on camera during our examination, so I still classify that as being part of the list for me. But if I can find the list really fast, I'm trying to use the internet on my tablet. Let me see if I can find. Okay, so yeah, that one was called Disco Pig. It was an 8.1 barrel-aged Ode Braun from Black Hog Brewing in Oxford, Connecticut. And this is in no particular order, by the way. And the next one was it was a cross between Focal Banger IPA and Focal Banger Pale Ale and the Heady Topper from The Alchemist. They were equally both as good. I think I probably like Heady Topper just a little better. Maine Beer Company Lunch has to be on that list. I hadn't had that before this year. So that was, I don't know if anybody's had any of those Maine Beer Company beers, but those are pretty
good. I have. They're very good.
They do a lot of the pale ales and the IPAs, but they also do a lot of good darker beers and stouts and porters as well.
I have
I think. Now I've had that before, and that's pretty good. And Jordan's gonna like this one. It was the first time and the first only bottle I ever bought. This year I tried 2011's Santa Claus Classic.
Oh,
that
cool.
was really good. It's like 14% or whatever, and it barely even tastes like it. I mean, you can tell it's a bigger beer, but 14%, you can't tell that.
Yeah, that's a classic for sure.
It goes down strangely well. Easy. The next one was Nagneo Sweet Horizon Imperial Stout.
Oh, cool.
That was almost the same kind of a drinking experience. I mean, that was a little bit heavier. It was a little bit slicker and richer in the mouthfeel, but similar higher ABV, but it just was like, this has what in it? No, I don't even taste the alcohol barely. Stillwater Artisanal Cellar Door. Now, that was brewed, I believe, at Two Roads Brewing in Stratford for the New England and the Northeast region. That was I believe it was a farmhouse ale, a farmhouse wheat ale brew.
A Saison. Saison.
Yeah, it was strangely delicious. I did a review outside, and it was nicer, warmer outside, and it was just all kinds of good. And you could really get the sage and the herbal qualities once you tasted the beer, but if you smelled it, it just kind of smelled like a really good, funky, tart, not too sour, but it smelled like a really good wheat beer mixed with Saison. That was really delicious. Then it was a cross between a Trillium Fort Point Pale Ale, just a regular old Pale Ale. I could add, at this point in time, I could very well add double dry hop Pale Ale Fort Point to that. That's ridiculous. And Vicinity's double IPA from Trillium is just mind-blowing stuff. And then go ahead.
I still have not tried any Trillium.
Yeah, it's just not easy to get if you're outside of Massachusetts, really. And then the last one on my list, I don't know if anybody's had anything from Peak Organic Brewing Company in Portland, Maine. It was
we get some of their stuff here.
It was their double dry hopped Pilsner called Fresh Cut. I mean, it's got everything you want in a nice hoppy beer. I forget what the ABV was. It might have been in the 5.2, 5.4 range. And it was really, it had the mouthfeel and it had the body and the drinkability of a Pilsner, but it had the hopping that you want out of a New England style pale ale. But it wasn't, none of it was done in a way where any one thing was overshadowing or overcasting any of the other flavors in the beer. I felt like everything kind of worked very well together. And for me, that's really the key to a really good pale ale or really good hoppy beer is, for me, it's got to have a little bit of a balance between hops and malts. And live.
Hi, John. Hi, John.
Is John Pierre.
Hello, guys. I'm sorry.
Woo! Vibrator.
Yeah. For whatever the reason, guys. I'm so. Hold on. Is there an echo? Why is there echo?
We don't have an echo. No echo on our end.
Now.
It's fine. Yeah.
Okay, because I'm hearing an echo on my end. Okay. Is that better?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Well, I was saying, I got a computer the other day. I gifted myself for Christmas. And for whatever the reason, I tried to install the Google thing, and it won't go in.
Okay. So now Michael Kormaroff is echoing again. You got to keep those headphones on, buddy.
Okay, I'll put them back on.
No good, sir.
There we go.
I got my headphones on.
Do you have a beer to share this evening? Any beer you want. Sorry about that. We got stifled by Dave not joining us this evening for IPAs.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
I got Negra Modelo I'm having tonight.
Nice.
And like I said on the beer talk, I was getting ready to go check out with the Goose IPA. And when I saw the messages, I said, well, let me turn around and get something else.
Yeah.
So
your preference, your normal preference for beer is what?
Usually a lager, your standard American adjunct or Pilsner. Whether it be Milwaukee's Best or Premium now.
Yep.
Or Milwaukee's Best Light. Or one of the ice beers, Bud Ice. Mostly Ice House. And but from time to time, I will have an IPA. A Goose mostly, or the Ranger. Or the Ranger now by New Belgium.
Yeah, Jordan's apparently not doing very well with the internet as he is dropping on and off up there in Alberta, Canada. So how's the
cold up there?
Yeah, we're getting 8 to like 12 inches of snow tomorrow. That's gonna be real fun in Massachusetts. Woo!
John, any snow in Vegas? That's a joke.
Any snow in Alabama?
No snow. No snow.
Oh, boy. You got out of New Jersey at the right time, I guess.
Yes, I did. And it was cold.
What temperature is it now in Alabama?
It's going to go down to the 20s tonight.
Oh, wow. All right.
That's cold.
The past couple of days, so it will go up to the 40s tomorrow. We should have a warming trend by Saturday and Sunday.
Great. It's going to be like -7 degrees for a low on Saturday. Looking real forward to that. Whoa.
We're going to be in single digits too, Eric.
Great. It sounds deliciously fun, right? So how's that Modelo Negro treating you?
Oh, the Negro is treating me pretty good. It's something I can pair with my
gumbo.
All right.
It has a nice. Hold on, guys. Quiet.
We hear you just fine.
Yeah. I keep getting that echo.
We don't get an echo on our. I'm not getting an echo. Are you, Michael?
I'm not, but it seems like if I put my headphones out.
Okay.
Yeah, your speakers must be so close, and you must have the volume so high up that it feeds back from everybody talking.
Okay. Well, the Negro Modelo has a little bit caramel feel to it. Not overly. Love the color of the beer. Nice. Goes well with a nice steak. Or even a gumbo. It's a perfect. I wouldn't. What's it called? I guess you could say a Vienna lager.
Sure.
Style. You know. I know I did a review of it, but it's definitely not a porter. It's definitely not a stout.
Yep.
So it's in that category, sort of Vienna, kind of like a Sam Adams, or a traditional lager like a Yuengling, but is a lot more flavorful.
So how would you rate that beer if maybe you did that on your channel already, but how would you rate that right now?
I give it an A. I give it an A. It is very well done. Obviously, the Grupo Modelo family that puts this out. So nothing good. I've always enjoyed all their beers. Modelo Especial. Victoria was also in that group as well. Of course, Corona. So good beers.
So I'm going through. I honestly am kind of a little jumbled for words this evening. I apologize for that, but I'm going through some of the beer advocate forums and looking at what people are posting, and maybe those are good points for a discussion here, since it's just a Wildcard Wednesday. It is what it is. Join us or not, whatever. Thoughts? Here's a beer advocate post that was posted yesterday morning. It is called "Thoughts on Beer/Liquor Stores Holding Special Beers in the Back," meaning all the limited releases, these more of these expensive single bottles of beer, whether they're 12 ounces or they're 750 milliliter bottle, they're all behind the counter, and you have to ask the sales associate to go and grab the beer. Are you okay with that practice? Do you dislike that practice? What are your thoughts on these companies putting out these really limited rare beers that you have to pay these exuberant amounts to buy?
Go ahead, Michael.
I'm not really thrilled with it. I think a lot of these companies, it's a little bit of a reach. They can talk about limited production, whatever, but the price gets so high, it phases me out, so to speak.
Are you more disappointed that stores themselves are doing this, or that these breweries are making beers that demand that kind of treatment to them?
I think it's both.
What are your thoughts on that, Jean-Pierre?
I don't think it's unless you're doing it for liquor. Hard liquor, things like that. I would understand, but why? I mean, it's beer.
Yeah.
You know, I don't understand it unless it's really like this super, you know, authentic thing that, you know, everybody's dying to get. I could understand that, but unless it's spirits or a certain type of wine or something that you're willing to pay an exorbitant amount of price for, go ahead. You know, if you're the store, and if it's your regional store, but to do that, it just doesn't make sense, especially beer.
Sure. I think I don't really have a problem with it. At the same time, I mean, it's kind of a hard question to answer, because you immediately think that when you see these beers behind the shelf that they're going to be a little bit more pricey and expensive. And I know that our buddy here, Jordan, from Reviewing Under the Influence in Alberta, loves his brewery, Brewery. That's the brewery's name, The Brewery. He loves their 750 milliliter bottles. In the United States, they're practically $18, $19, $20+. And they're usually, not all of them are usually rare, but usually when you find them, they kind of remind me of that behind-the-counter beer where they're that expensive. And if I've never tried it before and I want to just try one, it's a lot of money to spend initially just for one beer. But I think the other problem isn't just the beer stores. I think part of the problem is, if you want to call this a problem, would be that these breweries are specifically brewing small amounts of these beers, because they know that if they brew these beers in small batches, there's going to be a demand for it, and people are going to want to, you know, go and grab those beers as soon as humanly possible. Although, like I mentioned a little bit earlier, when it comes to things like American style or New England style IPAs, they might be a little bit more expensive because it's a little bit more costly for the ingredients that go into those beers. So it's a little bit of a give and take. I don't know that you can necessarily blame the beer store for the selection that they have, or I don't know if you can blame the beer stores for wanting to have those kind of beers in their stock in their stores. But at the same time, if they don't want to cater to those kind of beer consumers, then they wouldn't. Right.
Eric, have you heard of some of these rare beers being referred to as whales?
Absolutely. And explain to people who don't know what a whale is in the beer world.
It seems like it's a beer which is unusual. I guess it can be because very little of it is brewed, and it's
a rare beer.
It's not in their general portfolio. It's on their list, but it's not, you know, it's not their main production item.
Do you okay, you asked if we're echoing, and we sound fine right now. But back to that topic of the whales for everybody, kind of going back to that back of the shelf kind of a more rare limited beer. Do you like to seek out those kind of beers? Do you like to do it occasionally, or are you sort of, I'm done with that, seeking out these rare, hard to find beers?
I would like to do it. I just sometimes feel priced out that I don't want to spend every part of my money on that. But
sure.
I would like to.
Large quantity amount of money.
Yeah. And I think that can almost, stuff like that goes on in the beer community. Again, not like any of us wouldn't probably enjoy those beers. Even if not ragging or dissing anybody, but even though our good buddy here and panelist John Pierre from the TV Rambler YouTube, go check him out, John H. Pierre, even though he says that he likes the lager style primarily of American origin, we all like everything, and I think we can all appreciate every kind of a beer style that's out there. And no one would ever pass up one of those beers if the opportunity gave itself to, trying to get those beers. But I think that could potentially be a thing that hurts the craft beer industry, is trying to get newer and maybe younger up-and-coming beer drinkers to want to get into craft beer, and they see beers like that, and then they assume that all of a sudden it's too expensive to even get into beer. I mean, four cans of this for $18 is, to me, still too expensive, but I feel just a little bit better when it's going into my local economy in some regards.
Is it
John,
worth
you
it?
weren't here when I reviewed my beer. I had from Avery, Ellie's Brown Ale at 5.5%.
Bet you John would like that.
And I gave it an E, a B plus.
Well, I was saying, Eric, is it worth it? You paying for it? Is it worth it? I guess it is. It must if it's really good.
Personally, and I'm sorry if somehow Ragged Island is watching this. Congratulations, thank you. I like a lot of the other beers that I had from Ragged Island. I think if I could go back to Thursday night, I would probably buy a different 4-pack. But exactly, Jean. Eyebrows. But just to spend a couple extra bucks and it goes into the local economy, so be it. I think it's by far, and this brings me to the next question that I saw on the Beer Advocate forums. I think it's by far a better beer than the last one that I had, which was a drain pour. So again, that brings me to the next question. There was a Beer Advocate forum that asked viewers or the users of the website to list their greatest drain pours of 2017. Have there been any beers that the both of you have tried this year and have gone, yeah, this is awful, I have to pour this down the sink?
Are they beers that are from locally?
Any beer that you've had in the last year till about now.
Well,
any beers that you rated even really, really, really low that you didn't care for?
Earthquake.
I have one.
I will leave it right there.
Earthquake. I've only heard stories about that malt liquor.
Eric, how about the infamous Guinness Nitro IPA?
Oh, that was a drain pour for you?
Dumped it.
Oh, wow.
Also, I can't remember the name of it, but you may have tried this. Founders had a mango beer that came in a 22-ounce bottle. Big mango perfecto or mango something. We dumped that.
Doesn't ring a bell.
From Founders.
That must have been a little pricey for that bottle, right?
It was. My friend bought it, and it was almost like you could see the paint on his face. We smelled it burnt. It smelled awful. We drank it, and it was awful. Mango and beer just don't go.
So he tried it and didn't like it.
No, it was awful. It was really bad.
You were equally disappointed.
Founders is a good brewer. It's not like they make a lot of good stuff.
Yeah, I had two beers like that. The first one, obviously, that comes to mind is the first beer I had tonight. Ugh. Again, like I said.
Was it a local brew?
Yeah, it kind of was. It was in the western half of the state of Massachusetts towards the New York border. When Jordan, like I say, when Jordan of massive beer reviews, that's Matt. Whoa. Reviewing Under Influence. When he was on, because he does some home brewing of his own with IPAs and all kinds of styles, he thought maybe the beer was oxidized because it looked like brown sewage water, and it had a really weird souring note to it, which is not like a New England Pale Ale that they said it was. It did not even look like this. It was darker and murkier brown than that. So that didn't even taste right for the beer. So I dumped that down the drain, and then. Actually, to be completely honest, the last one that I was able to get down without much of an issue, but it wasn't really something that I wanted, was on Christmas. One of the first beers that we tried, my two cousins and I, because now my oldest cousin from one of my older cousins I got him into craft beer when he turned 21. Go figure. And then his sister now does the beer tasting with us on Thanksgiving and Christmas when we get together. We tried a Trillium. It was a 750 milliliter bottle. It was called Apricot Stonington, which was a wild saison that had apricots in it, and it used some grape skins from this vineyard called Stonington Farms in Stonington, Connecticut.
But it wasn't.
It was. Yeah, I mean, it was good for. I mean, you have to take it as this is. It says saison. It does not taste like saison. It is about one of the most funky, tart, sour beers on the face of the planet Earth. So if you're kind of, I mean, that usually doesn't bother me, but it was just so one directional. It was like I just bought a $20 bottle of this Cork and Cage, and I'm feeling like nobody's enjoying this, and I can't even say that even though I like sour beers, if I'm really enjoying this. So for $20, that was kind of a disappointment. But for the hype, I guess a little bit is hype because Trillium is Trillium, right? And they have now their next thing that everybody talks about after their pale ales and IPAs are their wild, is their wild yeast beer program in their oak barrels. So I was like, I like saisons. I like it a little tart, but this didn't even taste like a saison. It was totally just yeasty tart sour, and yeah, not the good first beer of the day.
So you found it to be too one note.
Excuse me, a little bit of cold. Yes, correct. And everybody else tried the beer that normally obviously doesn't like sour beer, and they thought that was pretty bad. But again, if you don't even like sour beers, you're never gonna appreciate anything like that. I just think sour beers are one of the hardest beers in the world to get into. Belgian beers in general. What do you guys think are hard beers for novices to get into?
Well, sour,
like you said, Eric,
taste profile.
Yeah.
Sour it's kind of hard to pair those, pair them with anything. It's just a unique taste to it. What do I match it with?
Yeah.
Food wise, do I do it? It's not good with like the wings and fries, but then again, I don't know, maybe poultry. That's something I will come with it, but even that is like, I don't know.
Yeah, I find that sour beers were probably about the last beer that I really, really, really got into. It was one of the harder beer styles for me to get into. Belgian beers of almost any kind, even though sour beers and Belgian beers kind of go hand in hand to a certain extent. It's just another kind of a brewing technique they utilize in Belgium. And these pale ales and IPAs and double IPAs took me a while to get into because my palate wasn't, obviously early on in beer drinking, it wasn't accustomed to all these bitter hoppy notes or the flavors of hops. So I kind of had to get over time adjusted to that flavor.
Maybe Eric also the barrel aged beers, if you're not into hard alcohol with beer, are hard to get into.
Yeah. Maybe even imperial stouts can be hard for people to get. I mean, I would never recommend a really, really, really high alcohol beer for somebody's first foray, if you will, into craft beer. I think that would ruin the experience for them. Not that they could, not that you can't like one of those beers for the first time ever. I mean, everybody's taste buds are different, but I just think that would be a little bit too extreme to start off with.
They can't match the intensity level on their first try on something like that.
Exactly. So what kind of a beer would you recommend for a craft beer novice?
I would start with a pale ale. I think that's probably the best way. Get them familiar, maybe an amber. An amber ale. That would get them slow before they get to the Belgian style imperial pale ales. Things like that, the imperial stouts. Or something small.
Sure.
And then they gradually grow into something else.
What are your thoughts on that, Michael Cormer?
I think if you're starting in the dark beer category, you're better off starting on a porter and a stout. Even the lower alcohols tend to be more intense. Maybe a porter that first, if you like that, brown ales, black ales, before you get into stouts, which are a little bit heavy.
Yeah, I think that a really good way to get into craft beer is even look at German beers and beers from the Czech Republic. You can still try pretty relatively regular-ish styles of beer, but they're done with such a pinpoint precision and execution in Germany where they're only using hops, water, yeast, and malt. So if you've only been having beers like Budweiser, Miller, Molson, Labatt's, Coors, yeah, good example. Hamm's, Old Style, Heilemann's, whatever it is. I don't know if Heilemann's is even a beer anymore. But anyways, if that's all you've ever had, it would be a real treat, I think, for the first time to go and try something like Weihenstephan or Pilsner or Quell, or even Michael Komaroff's Dab originally had a couple weeks ago. And I think you would really find how much more interesting those beers can be with just out the utilization of those rice or corn adjuncts to it. You can kind of see where individual ingredients can kind of go a long way, even in a simplistic kind of a Pilsner beer. Another one that I would try is a wheat beer, and by that I don't mean go out and buy a 12-pack of Blue Moon, but that would still be better than trying a 30 rack of Steel Reserve 211 8.1% and getting schmammered for your first drinking experience ever. Maybe pale ales. I think Sierra Nevada could be good, but it still could be a little bit hoppy for some initially. Sam Adams Boston Lager is always a thing, although is Sam Adams craft beer anymore? Question mark.
But we can get into a whole discussion just on that, because based on how much they're brewing, they're no longer considered craft beer. But
yeah,
but some of the beers are still good.
Sure. I mean, why not, right?
Have you ever gone to their tour in Boston?
I did once, a long number of years ago.
How was it?
Our buddy Eric from Eric and Lions Fan, I think he's Eric's Beer Reviews or something like that now. He's from the Lansing, Michigan area.
Right.
We all don't know that. He was in Boston maybe a month ago at this point. And he said to us in our beer chat on Facebook Messenger to everybody that he had taken the tour, and he was kind of disappointed with the tour because he thought it was going to be much bigger and grander kind of a facility. And when he went there, it just seemed kind of like a small brewery. And I think in general, even though the facility itself is kind of large, where they do most of the brewing in Boston is just a little tiny spot. And they have so many different satellite breweries across the country where Sam Adams does the brewing that I just don't think that unless it's an experimental beer or they're trying out new styles and you're able to try beer A or beer B and then vote for what you want, that they do. I don't think they do a whole bunch of brewing at the Boston facility anymore, except for I think they have their barrel aging and whatever sour beers that they make in quotes, they do most of that there anyways.
Do they still do that long shot program where
I don't think so. You know what? To be completely honest, that was one of the first beers I remember doing on Beer Advocate was their long shot double IPA, which I thought even in 2009, not even liking IPAs was a great beer. So for anybody that doesn't know, Michael Kornbrough was talking about the long shot. It was a beer competition sponsored at Samuel Adams Brewery with Samuel Adams Brewery. It was a home brewing competition. And I don't honestly remember how it was conducted or exactly how the beers were submitted to Sam Adams. But the winner of the competition, after judging happened, got their beers brewed by Sam Adams, and the winner also got their beer on tap at Gillette Stadium, I remember.
Which was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. That was cool. I just think that there's so many – it's just hard to keep up with all of the people brewing beers in the United States right now and around the world. It's just it explodes so much that there's so much. I don't know if it's just oversaturation of beer at this point, or they just sort of graduated from doing that. Now that they're a bigger company, they can't waste time with the little guys or something. I don't know.
But that's a reason to have a group like this, because we can bounce off new ideas, and maybe we'll be able to kind of unravel some of the problems.
Absolutely. Bart Robinson here. Hello, sir. He was on the chat, and at some point he said there was a lot of echo, but I think that echo is since gone because I don't hear it right now.
I'm not getting it.
John is looking.
John is silent.
John is kind of doing whatever it is on the other side of the camera. Hello, John.
He's doing whatever he wants.
He's doing a dance. It's like he's on the. Are you on the toilet, John? What are you doing?
Now, Eric, my question to you: Are we going to leave Dave in kind of a limbo state and go on with our own?
Unfortunately, we love Nacho Dave. In his beer.
I like him.
He's a great friend of mine. He's too up in the air, unfortunately, to have him a part of the creation of beer topics and discussions.
Because we can still try to do the IPA sometime in the future.
I don't know. I want to hear Jean-Pierre. I want to hear his thoughts.
Hey guys, I'm sorry about that. I was just eating me up some dinner right now, so when I left the conversation. So.
That was the gumbo. You had some gumbo? You had the gumbo?
Yes.
Sounds good.
I've had this since New Year's Day, and now this is what? Today is what? The third?
The third.
So, yeah. So,
I gotta ask
having
you.
It, so.
I gotta ask you.
Yeah.
If Michael Komarov says, you know my buddy Dave, you remember him. Nacho Dave, even though if he was on a beer review channel, he would be Nacho Dave. It's not your beer, it's my beer. Anyways, yeah, Michael still wants to try at some point to get him on an IPA review. Do you think the topic of IPA is beaten like a dead horse at this point or not? Or what do you think of IPAs in craft beer world in general?
Yeah. I mean, we've done. I don't know if y'all done like a double or imperial IPAs yet.
Not specifically, but we did one beer together of double IPA origin, but not specifically.
I know they're popular, and I understand, and I like IPAs too, and I do like imperial IPAs. From Green Flash. That's excellent Belgian style IPA. And of course, there's a few from Founders, Ridiculous. There's G Night from our friends at Oscar Blues.
Yeah, good beer.
That's those are as a double IPA. Of course, Adams has a few with the Rebel line, double Imperial IPA.
But it's kind of getting out of hand, right?
Yeah, it's getting a little old right now. If we can get something that we can very rarely do, like a porter.
Yes.
A pale ale pilsner, maybe.
Yeah, we have.
And do that. I'm down for that.
Sure. Yeah, we have 3 viewers watching. So hello. We have 2 options. We have 2 options for the next upcoming 2 weeks here. We actually you just brought it up right there. Michael and I were talking about stouts and porters for next week. That would be a great option since we're in the dead of winter. It's going to be whatever amount of snow in my backyard, and 20 degrees in Alabama is bone-chillingly cold. So there you go. It doesn't even have to be an imperial stout, but then again, we only said porters and stouts. It can be whatever ABV you want. And then in 2 weeks, we shall do flavored beers. And by flavored beers, all that I am specifying is it must have an extra ingredient added other than hops, water, yeast, malt, rice, or corn. So it could be a chocolate beer. It could be an apricot beer. It could be a coffee-infused beer. It could be a strawberry beer, whatever, a shandy. Bring a flavored beer to the discussion in 2 weeks.
Okay. John, it's funny. Martin, who left strawberry used beer called Milk of the Poppy from Toronto. Blood Brothers Brewing.
Blood Brothers Brewing. It's a good song by Iron Maiden.
Good name of the beer. Good name of the company, Blood Brothers Brewing.
Yeah. So I think we're going to go overtime. We kind of not the most entertaining of reviews. I apologize, but I sure had fun. It made me feel a little better today. I finally got a better beer. That turned out to be disaster, that first beer, but it happens. So, Beach Night. I gave it a 1.5 thumbs. What am I going to rate this bad boy for you?
And who makes that, Eric? Who makes that beer?
A very small smaller than microbrewery, Portsmouth, Rhode Island, Ragged Island Brewing Company. If you ever see that in your area, I wouldn't know why.
Yeah.
Small operation.
Let me ask each of you right now, as you know, Alabama's really starting to kind of get a little bit well known now, slowly. I would say it's right up there, but it's getting known as a good place for some good craft beers. As I mentioned the names, good people, Back 40, Fairhope, Straight to Ale, Band of Brothers Brewery, Avondale, and whatnot. And we're starting to get a good reputation. And I know, Eric, for you being where you are, obviously Massachusetts and that whole New England area, New Hampshire, and Vermont, and Rhode Island, whatnot. Obviously, things are great. And for you, Michael, being in New York, obviously we all know, what's popular, what people like, what do they want? I mean, what's their desire? Says, what is the craft beer scene? What does the beer scene look like in your respective location?
Well, obviously you all know in my area, and I think it's in Michael's too, but we literally just mentioned it, and I literally just asked the question: are IPAs just going too overboard? Are they just too talked about? And that's exactly what I still believe is the biggest trend in craft beer right now. Everybody's got to have a New England IPA. Everybody's got to brew a Heady Topper. Everybody's got to brew a Trillium and an Alchemist beer. Right now, I don't notice that breweries don't have at least 3 or 4 different kinds of IPAs, whether they're pale ales, IPAs, or double IPAs. That's going to be the biggest trend, and I still see it as the biggest trend. And I think the other trend... Excellent. I think the other trend is still Imperial / barrel-aged beers. Those are the 2 big ones, I think. And maybe the third one would be like a sour beer. Those would be the top 3 that I think.
Which I like.
What's your thoughts on that,
age.
Michael Cormorant?
Yeah, I exactly agree. And the problem, I think, why you don't get more sour beers is because brewers are afraid that when they brew them, that it's very easy to alter other beers if the souring agents escape out of your brew kettle and into some other beer.
There's too much variables involved with that beer.
There's a lot of stuff going on when you're making the beer, and you have to be careful.
It's got to be,
not to interchange your ingredients, so to speak.
It's got to be a very hard beer style to consistently brew. I would figure that's got to be one of those beer styles that certainly changes quite a bit from batch to batch, just because the idea and the nature is typically you use this yeast strain called the Brettanomyces, which what it does is you open up the fermentation tank where what happens is the yeast is eating the sugar and the grains, and it's converting all of the grains and malts and sugars into alcohol. So typically what they do, these breweries, is they open up the tank, and whatever's going on in the air is what the yeast is eating, and that's how it gets a sour or wild kind of a taste to it. So whatever's going on in the atmosphere at that particular moment in time is what's going to affect how that beer tastes, right? Yep. Isn't that kind of what I'm...
Yep, that's exactly how they do it.
Yeah.
So you have some brewers who only do sours, like Jolly Pumpkin in Michigan only does sours. Now they don't have to worry, because if it might change one of their beers, a different sour, but at least they all want it to be sour.
I think that Rivertown Brewing Company does a lot of sours from, where are they from? Ohio, I think.
But I can't think of any specific sour in this area, even though 6 Point did do a sour, but again, it was a Brett sour like you're describing, and it was another one of the limited release ones. So
I think probably one of the more famous sour beers in the United States, and it's kind of in your area, is the I think it was a Flemish red ale. It was called Monk's Cafe.
That's from Philly, I think, right? Philadelphia?
Yeah, and my understanding is that there was a brewery, there is, I believe, still a brewery in Belgium, that the owner of the Monk's Cafe somehow convinced the brewers of the beer to allow them to have that beer as their house beer at the Monk's Cafe in Philadelphia and have it under their own name, Monk's Cafe.
I think a lot of people don't realize what a wonderful beer city Philadelphia is.
Yeah.
In terms of Belgian beers,
right?
and other beers too.
Yards. Is it Yards in Philly?
Yards is one
or
of the
something like
breweries
that?
there.
Yeah, I've heard a lot.
They do a
about
lot of
them.
historical beers, as far as I understand. They do a lot of beers brewed to colonial
Revolutionary
West.
War kind of thing, themes.
I think there's like
Beers like
my memory-
George Washington used to drink.
yeah, if my memory serves me correctly, I think there's like a Thomas Jefferson beer with like juniper berries or something.
Victory is in the suburbs of Philadelphia. Victory Brewing.
They make
And
one of my
suburbs.
favorite saisons of all time, the Victory Helios.
Very good. But they're in the suburbs. They're not in the city of Philadelphia.
If you want a really good saison brewed in America, you can almost go nowhere better than that.
Very good saison.
It's like $5.99. It used to be $4.99. It's like $5.99 for a bomber bottle. That is dirt cheap for a really great beer.
Very good deal.
But unless anybody has any other, we didn't ask John. What do you see
Yes.
as the big beer styles in craft beer right now that all the breweries are brewing?
What y'all said earlier, I think it's the barrel age. I think people really are digging those a lot.
Excuse me.
I think we had the Abita here. They're obviously down Louisiana. The Abita barrel age stout, that's very popular. The Backwoods Bastard is pretty much good by Founders. I think anything that says barrel age on it, and no matter what the style, more so the what style was, I would say that that was more Scotch ale. So I think those Scotch ales, the barrel age, and the barrel
Like a Old
stouts,
Chub.
I would say, yeah, those are pretty much what people are really digging into right now. And you still have your saisons, you have your sours people would like, and then of course your standard pilsners and whatnot. But I think the barrel aged stuff are really starting to become big popular here.
Sure. Any closing thoughts before we go over to?
I'm looking forward, Eric, to next week with the porters and the stouts.
Yeah, we'll be a little bit more focused. I mean, I don't mind doing a wild card, but it just seems like we're at a loss for what to discuss unless we have a little bit of direction. So that'll be good.
I'll probably get the Guinness Foreign Extra Stout. I really like that one a lot.
I haven't had that 200. I don't know. We seem to keep going on with the discussion. That's kind of good. I haven't had that 200th anniversary yet. Has anybody else had that?
I haven't had that yet either. I've
No,
seen it,
I haven't.
but I haven't had it yet.
What are your thoughts? Now, we keep trying to end this video and we keep going. What are your thoughts on Guinness? I know Michael Komarov is the what's the word I'm thinking of, is the sole place of expertise and knowledge when it comes to millions of barrels of beer produced by breweries a year. He loves those beers. No, he doesn't. But what's your thoughts on Guinness? Do you still consider them a macro, or do you consider them in the same vein as the macro beers that you dislike?
I like Guinness. I think it's a good beer for that nitrogen experience you get. I like the effect when you go into a bar and have them pour it. I think that's always a nice sidelight. The beer itself is very tasty. I like Guinness. It is mass produced though, but I mean I do like it.
Just not their nitro IPA.
I thought it was awful. I mean, bad. Like bad.
I was going to try to get that. I saw it at the store. I was going to try to get it, but thanks for telling me, Mike. I probably won't.
No, avoid it. It was bad. It was almost like they tried an experiment, and experiment fail. And I'm sure somebody liked it, but I did not like it.
We got Bart Robinson live. Hello, Bart Robinson. He says, I live about 40 minutes from Philly. I've been to Victory Brewing and Yards. Both have excellent product.
Now, he's right.
Excellent. So, all right. This will be the final time. Any last final thoughts, comments from the panel?
None. Enjoying my gumbo right now with this second bottle of the Negro Modelo tonight.
John, enjoy. We'll see you next week.
No doubt. And
Let's
this is
do
porters and
stouts.
right? Any
Stouts and porters, any kind, any ABV. If you bring an Imperial, well, that's still a stout or porter.
Okay, Eric. You can
Sounds
sign
good.
us off.
All right. Until next time, on the other side of the snow, on the other side of this nasty cold I'm having.
Goodbye, everybody.
Tasting those great beers.
Enjoy.
Cheers. And Michael Komarov, Thomas Metal 75, and John Pierre, the TV Rambler. We'll see you soon.
Take care, everybody.
Yes.
Where are you, David?